So, Andre, so as you and I were just talking, right? You have to be a time management ninja if you are writing, if you're going into writing a book, right?
You
Yeah.
do. You
You,
do
you
because you're like, I already have my job and my life and everything else that's going on. And then I want to put so much time, energy, and effort into building something incredible. And I believe you can create time to do anything that is important to you, but it is tough.
Oh, it's so tough. Hey everybody, we wanted to let you in a few minutes early. How cool is that? That here I'm getting to speak to Andree Mohr of Integrated Partners, the new president. Congratulations again, Andree. So exciting. I see you everywhere, by the way, and I really love the forward to your book too. You've got so many of our friends and people that we know. Daniel Crosby's in here. Aaron Klein is mentioned. Jay Coulter, Suzanne Syracuse really had phenomenal things to say about the book. And then I was like, oh no, yeah, they're really right about it. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. That means so much to us. And, shout out to Matt Ackerman. He has created such wonderful connections across the industry. And we're so grateful to have him on the team and, help us get the word out there. But we were so honored to all of and thankful to all of those people for taking the time early on as we were kind of thinking through this concept and saying, how can we make something that maybe isn't fun and exciting and really throw some zazzle in there. And their feedback and thoughts were invaluable. So we're so grateful to all of them.
Uh, Fantastic. Well, I'm going to do a proper, amazing introduction of you, Andree. For our listeners, you guys know how much I greatly, greatly appreciate your time, whether or not that you're listening to and joining us live, or this is a replay. You're listening on the replay. We had some requests coming out. Please tell me that there'll be recording of this. We're like, yes, there'll be a recording. So I am right now in the chat. I'm putting the link to the book in Amazon. I'm also putting Andree's link on LinkedIn. Make sure that you're connected with her, please. She's everywhere and anywhere right now in the industry. So you want to make sure that you're following her work. Integrated Partners too. That's her firm. We had Paul Sagani on. He was like our fifth book club. So it's really exciting to, and he actually kind of queued this up back then. It was like, well, there's another book being written. And I was like, well, we would love to have you back. And wham, here it is. As well as a link to our Intentionally Book Club. Obviously, I think you guys are all subscribed. If you're not, please subscribe, please share it. I want to just do a little bit of quick housekeeping. Coming to you live from Intentionally Studios right here. We're headquartered right outside of Philly. If you're in the area, please let me know. We love to roll out the red carpet and love to see our friends. Kelly Waldrick, our CEO and founder of Intentionally, right over there. This was her brainchild. I always like to say that when we're starting our broadcast, Andree, because it was really Kelly that conceived of the idea to shine a light and to curate all of these amazing authors and thought leaders in our space. So we're really grateful to have you. And as usual, this is just educational in nature. We're not offering any type of financial advice or whatnot. But there's really amazing advice on how to run your firm and your practice. You will get so much out of it, I promise. And if you want to recommend anybody, book club at growintentionally.com is where you will find us. So, Andree, what an incredible vitae here, president of Integrated Partners, a CPA focused hybrid and office of supervisory jurisdiction. Normally I do the OSJ thing. But made sure to read it here. Of LPL, you have over $18 billion in AUA. Um, and the firm is growing by leaps and bounds. In your role, Andree does a lot of work. You're supervising the day to day, you're managing budgets, you're driving key objectives and really driving growth. And one of the things that I learned about you, which I can tell because you just radiate that, is how you like to help entrepreneurial minded financial advisors really implement their strategic plan, increase efficiencies, and foster growth, which is exactly what this book is about. So your co-authors, let's give a big shout out to them, Matt Ackerman and Paul Sagani. This is the best of three worlds kind of converging all together. You'll also find some, I really enjoyed the music note section, that there are other like anecdotal evidence and lessons from like Rob Sandrew, who's your chief growth officer, and really other thought leaders. So you all must get the book. We are going to be doing a raffle for a free copy of the book, as well as a $50 gift card to Amazon. So you're a proud graduate of Northeastern, and outside of your professional endeavors, I'm not going to give it away, but there's a favorite sports team. We're going to load that poll right away. And you and your husband have twin daughters.
We do 16-month-old twins. It's chaos and the best thing ever.
Oh my goodness, that is so cool. Congratulations.
Thank you.
16 months. You look fantastic. I I know how hard that is. So it's great. Okay, everybody, let's get a fun poll in the chat. And here we go. Let's kick this thing off. Naturally, we're going to take your questions all throughout. Please, again, like no question. You can ask questions about the book and then also too about your practice. Like I said, Andree has been you've been now at Integrated for almost a decade.
Yes, 10 years I've been
Mhm.
here. Mhm.
Congratulations on the 10-year
Thank you.
anniversary coming up. Okay, so here's our first poll. Let's warm us up. Okay. Fun fact about you, Andree, your favorite sports team. Okay, everybody, need your help here. I want to imagine the Jeopardy music is playing in the background. Boston Red Sox, New England Patriots, or Boston Celtics. Okay, and I think we just lost Andree. Okay, I'll give you a few more minutes. And then so where we are evenly split, New England Patriots 50%, Boston Celtics, we're at 40, 40, 40. Okay, I'm going to end the poll at that. Okay, you guys ready? Share the results. Yeah, where are the Bruins? I love it. Thanks very much, Jeff Thomas. Sorry, we should have allowed another question. So the answer is, and Andree will be back with us soon. And this is the first time that this has happened. She is the New England Patriots. So yeah, that's her. Okay, so thank you very much, everybody. This is the first time that this has happened where my author has just disappeared. I'm not sure if her webinar went out, but she is going to be here. So let me first, while I have you all, again, thank you so much. Let me kind of show you around the book while we're waiting for Andree to come in here. So like I said, this book is written by three authors, and there's some really great perspectives in here. The book is fantastic. Look, we're all back on planes, trains, and automobiles for the especially we've got a really big fall event schedule. This is the perfect book if you're looking to like be on the train, be on the plane, and you need like an hour of inspiration and some frameworks. So the book is about, let's see, really hoping that Andree gets in here soon. We've got 245 pages, but the pages aren't necessarily like chronological. So you can dabble into any of the themes. But here's the thing, right? Jeff Thomas says, book was so fun, not your typical investment book. Hey, Jeff, do you want me to, if you actually ask a question, I can probably bring you in. We could have a quick chat about it. I'd love to. If you could kind of let our listeners know, let our book club members know what is so special about the book is that each book has the theme of the chapters, right? Here's one. Can you feel the love tonight? Mysterious ways. I could have actually made this a really cool poll. Okay, Mysterious Ways. You guys know that song? Put in the chat right now. Yep, Elton John to David Lee Roth, right? We've got Van Halen, we've got Elton John, we've got Leonard Skinner. Freebird is chapter 17. That's what friends are for. Is that uh Whitney Houston? I don't know. I can't remember. Edge of Glory, we've got Bon Jovi. So really interesting the way that each chapter is delineated by a song. Okay. Um, you guys hold on for 1 second and let me just see what's going on with Andree. Okay. Yes, we seem to have lost Andree. Okay, bear with me, you guys. It's 1:09. Let's see if she makes it back in here. I am grateful for your time and the fact that you're all still here. Um, so sorry that it's just me for right now, waiting for her to get back in here. So let's just see that. Okay, so here it is. Like, let's take chapter 3, for example. The song, The Wait, the subtitle, having the right admin sets the tempo for your practice. What's really great here is there's anecdotal, and Andree and I were having a great conversation about this. Matt Ackerman is like a music trivia savant. So within here, right? And anybody that's read the book so far, and by the way, it's not a prerequisite for coming here. You know that. By the way, my backup plan is that I'm going to become a musical DJ here, and we're just going to play songs and we're just going to rock it until she comes in. Okay. This is a curveball, guys. I'm not going to lie here. This is total curveball. Anyway, so there's like that anecdotal trivia. Thank you so much, Kina. I love you. We all love you. Kina Pettijohn. Kina, please put the link for your sectarian newsletter. There you are. You're back. Oh, sweating bullets.
I was like, I don't know what she's doing. I am so sorry. We had a fire here yesterday and the whole building just went down. And I'm so sorry, everybody.
Oh, that's okay. Of course, there would be a fire drill right now.
Right? I mean, hello. I do live in California, coming to you from San Diego. So there you go.
Okay, fantastic. Well, let's make the most of your time. We're so glad. I'm really glad to have you back.
Me too.
Okay, let's get right into it, Andree. Why did you write the book?
We wrote the book because we really did see a lot of our advisors at Integrated getting fatigued by the day to day of running a financial advisor business. And they were starting to forget, like, why did they love being in this business? And they forgot that they were the star. They built these wonderful, significant businesses and they were getting caught up in, like, there's a problem at the custodian. This is going on with a plan, whatever the case may be. And they just lost sight of why they were doing this. And so when Matt and I both went to the Elton John concert, and we said, Elton has never lost sight of Elton and the amazing power of just who he is as an individual and the way that he's been able to stand out in a crowd. We want to give that to our advisors. And we just thought that through the stories of all of these different musicians, we could help advisors see that there is a path forward. There is a way to become the star of your practice and really truly build the business of your dreams that you love. And so that's why we wrote it, honestly.
I think this is really interesting. So, unbeknownst to you, I haven't shared this with you yet, is that I saw Elton John's piano show in Vegas almost over 15 years ago. And what struck me about Elton John, Andree, was that he was so gracious and humble. And I remember him like walking, I think we were in the Bellagio, and I remember him walking and literally like praying hands, bowing his head, and making sure that he hit all the elements of the stage. And the reason why I mention that to you and to share it with all of you, ladies and gentlemen, here is because the selection of Elton was brilliant. And the book reads Center Stage: How to Become the Star of Your Practice. But guess what? And this is the big spoiler alert. It's not from a position of ego. It's not from like being braggadocious and being like, okay, I'm the CEO, shine the light, you know, let me be everywhere and anywhere. It is coming like Elton John, bowing, place of service. How can I serve you? What would you like to hear? And so I thought like you and Matt leading off with that was brilliant.
Thank you. Yeah, because it's not to become the star of your practice, to your point, like you can't have the spotlight on you. You have to develop leaders within your organization. You have to create other stars and you have to give a world-class experience. And so all of those things coming together, to your point, is what Elton John does. And it was amazing to see him in concert and say, shout out to this person who's been with me for 20 years and they do this incredible work here. And to know that you have a team of experts supporting your clients is the best feeling.
So kind of walk us through because I thought that this was really amazing how you and Matt and Paul came together. So again, we're a lot of us here on the Intentionally Book Club are members of the financial advisory community. A lot of us have a lot of hopes and dreams of writing a book. And so, what would you say? How do you approach the book writing process when you are doing it with like multiple people? Should you do it with multiple people? Like, what was the most amazing thing working with Matt and Paul on this? How did this, how does this process come together with co-authors?
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say the first thing you do is get yourself a Matt Ackerman. But I think that there is always power in bringing together multiple different perspectives. Paul is an advisor. Matt is a content creator, a very big thinker, and then I am the executor of the group. So we have three very different unique abilities. But when you bring those unique abilities together, we were able to deliver something that was extremely valuable to advisors that hit on all different aspects of their practice. Paul's front stage, I'm backstage, and Matt is all the stages, bringing it all together. So, you know, and then the other thing is we trust each other. And a lot of what we wrote about in the book is
Mm,
trust each other, find a team that feels good to you, that you can trust, and you all lend your credibility to each other. So it was easy for us, honestly, because we knew from the get go, like once we had the theme together, we knew that we wanted to create the evolution of an advisor's practice. And part of it was at first, like, do we just tell Paul's story? And then we said, let's
mm,
tell Paul's story as like, here is an advisor practice and kind of put in these music lessons. Because as an implementer, I always say, I want to read a book and then I want to have an actionable takeaway. Like there's so much amazing practice management content out there, but you listen to it and then most advisors are by themselves and they're saying, well, how do I affect change in my business on my own? So the music lessons were meant to be a little activity that you can then get your team involved in and things like that. But I always think if you can co-create something with somebody who you love and trust and respect, it is most likely going to be significantly better than what you can do on your own. And it was great. I mean, I was actually on maternity leave. So it made me feel super connected to the team. And Matt would interview us. And then he would blend all the stories together. And then he would go out and find the right, musical artist for that chapter. So we kind of laid out this is the evolution. These are the chapters that we wanted. And then we went and found the stories and blended them all together. But if you can get a
and
Matt
when,
Ackerman, you can't have him because he's
okay.
fine. But if you can get someone like that, then it's significantly easier.
Oh my God, a big shout out to Matt Ackerman. He's another person. Just make sure that you're connected and you're following his work. He is on LinkedIn. I love what you were just saying about empowering having those music lessons and having frameworks for readers to utilize rather than just like creating a book of fluff, like really having actionable strategies. I just want to point it out because Jeff Thomas, our friend from Swan Global, is here. And he really likes page 65, wants to make sure that every single advisor that's on this and wealth management professional looks at page 65. This is an example of what that music lesson looks like and the roles and responsibilities, some really interesting information. There's no need for you to reinvent the wheel when you've got this book.
Thank you, Jeff. We appreciate that. And that was part of the reason is like there's so much valuable knowledge that we've created and through the 200 advisors that are at integrated, Everybody faces a lot of the same challenges. You need good talent on your team. So take something that is almost 100% done, make it uniquely you and for what you need, and then put it out there. Like, spend your time on making whatever makes you different, not the things that you can go and get from someone else.
I love that. Again, so many frameworks in this book. Again, normally we've been conditioned that an investment book has, just great information, and there might be like a highlight or an example here. There's a big difference between a framework and just, practice these things or and have these exercises. That's why we're so bullish on the book. So Jeff Thomas really liked page 65, and that is to customize a job description for an associate advisor. Let's just spend a minute here, because this is all about growth, right, Andree? And about making sure that you are empowering, mentoring, training, and developing that next layer of talent, so that you can empower them through your organization. What has your experience been with associate advisors? Like, how has Integrated been able to do that so well? And there's sometimes trepidation of like, hey, here's a baton, you know, and run with it. How has Integrated been able to do it so well?
I mean, so for us, our belief is retention is key to future growth. And there's two components to retention. It's client retention as well as retention of your team. And so when you think about retention of your team and bringing in a junior advisor, you are lending your credibility and the work that you have done to help that person become successful. And so, in order to do that, you have to trust that person.
Hmm.
So, we spend a lot of time on the sourcing of new talent, getting to know them, the interview process. We are big believers in Colby's. So, whatever your process may be, make sure you spend the time up front to know that that is a good hire. And then spend the time when you are with them in their early days to help coach and train and mentor them. So we do a lot of role play. We do a lot of, just come and listen in on our meetings. And then as that person starts to build confidence, you give them a piece of the meeting that can become theirs. So you have to give them confidence that they can do it. And that happens through the role plays. And then allow them and empower them to do it on their own in a safe space. So that might be in a client meeting when you're there and you can, fill in gaps where needed. But you also have to remember that they will never do it exactly the same way that you are doing it. And that's
Hmm.
okay, because what we're looking for is results. And so if the result is as expected and as required, then you're doing a great job. But when you try to force somebody to sound and act exactly like you, that's where you run into a lot of problems. So you want the experience to be the same and the process to be the same, but the specific conversations and things like that will never be the same. And that's okay as long as you get to the same end results. But you pass the baton slowly in small increments while you help them to build confidence. And then you tell your clients, Tina is the best person on our team when it comes to financial modeling. So she's going to present on financial modeling. But then you never undermine Tina. So you don't come
Mm.
in over the top and answer a question that was directed to you. You have to show your clients that you trust your team and that you've empowered them to be leaders in their role. And that's another thing I think, advisors try to save their team from messing something up or having a bad experience, but they don't give them the time or the capability to do it on their own. So if I'm lending you my credibility, then I have to allow you to be that person for the client.
That's great information. I think it leads brilliantly into my next question. And I told you, I said, I warn you how those light bulbs go off. It's interesting because, and I'm going to put a link into the chat. And again, our dear friends ladies and gentlemen on this club, please, no question is out of bounds here, whether or not it's related to the book, running a practice, growing a practice. I have a question on a Colby assessment, and it leads directly into what you were talking about. So you were just saying, like, we're talking about empowering the associate advisors, and then once somebody's in that role, actually letting them, giving them the role and responsibility and the light, and having them be like the single source, the subject matter expert for that. As it relates to Colby, are you or are leading organizations like Integrated, before I depart from the role, you know my Colby index, right? And I've taken that assessment. When we start to bring others, mentor, train for similar roles, are we looking for similar Colby indexes among? And is that like a qualifier or a prerequisite to be like, hey, like in your case, financial modeling, which by the way, ladies and gentlemen, we all know that like I'd probably have a little bit of a problem with that role. But anyway, but are you looking and saying, you know what? Andree, who is in the financial, who was the person before that, right? Her Colby aligns like this. Are we using Colby assessments to find similarities among roles? In other words, associate advisor equals a Colby assessment that is particularly in this range.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, the best teams, the makeup of your team should be varying different Colbys, but specific roles require specific Colby assessments. So, take you for example, you're very creative. My assumption is you're a very high quick start. That is not a good Colby for somebody who's in a financial modeling role who needs high follow through and high fact find. So, correct. Colby should match the roles, but to have a very well run and well rounded organization, you want different Colbys that complement each other. And then you want to be very, like, we're very open and honest across our teams. This is people's Colbys because it also helps you to have really impactful conversations with people. So I know you're a high quick start. So I'm just giving you the tops of the trees information that you need to know. I'm a high researcher. So I need all the details. How did you arrive at this point in that to feel like that was an effective conversation? So we can match to our team members the information and the components that they need to be successful.
Okay, that's great information. I'm really curious. Advisors, do me a favor, and our members, put a link in the chat if you've either if you've taken the Colby, that you know your Colby index, or that your firm is using it. While we're doing that, another poll around like roles and responsibilities and Elton. So here's the question, and it relates to what we're talking about here. So the question is, um, Elton John has a famous songwriter, right? It's not just Elton writing the songs, and that was Bernie. And so Elton and Bernie had this total tag team approach that was effortless, the way that it's described in the book. And Andree, the book uses the example of Daniel, the song Daniel, right? We've got a little picture of Elton there. The song Daniel was written in what duration? 15 minutes, 15 hours, 15 weeks. So we've got 75% of our audience is, or 83%. We're leaning in towards 15 minutes versus 15 hours. Let's share the results. And Andree, can you tell us what it is?
15
Was the
minutes.
Yeah, it was the 15 minutes. That underscores exactly what you're talking about here. When you have the
Mhm.
people in the right role, isn't it amazing how complex things within an organization, especially within a firm, get done and get handled?
It's, I mean, even I think about this book, right? People, and I don't want to diminish the amount of work we put into it because it was a lot, but I mean, we had a series of calls and then the book came to life, you know? And it is the impactfulness of I understand Matt and how he thinks, he understands me and how I think. And so to your point, we can have these amazing outputs in a very short amount of time because we know how to effectively give each other what we need to reach the outcome. So the conversations that you can have with your team when you understand how they think and take in information is exponentially more effective than if you don't. So the Colby is not the only thing out there. We think it's obviously
Right.
amazing, but having some sort of tool to help you understand your team members is hugely impactful.
Yeah, and I think it's amazing if you again do almost like an asset a talent inventory. If your organization is like running really well, like there are definitely some standouts here. I'm looking at Erica Ellis over there, who's our head of events. I'm looking at our head of content, Lauren Sanders, and they are like the top echelon of that position. And it would be very interesting to understand, like to know to have that assessment and know what like an organization looks like through a different lens. And this is all about growth, right, ladies and gentlemen? Here, the book Center Stage, how to be the star of your own practice is really each chapter is delineated into a certain subject matter around growth. What I was really happy to see, and again, I'm partial, branding and marketing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Usually we see marketing. We don't see branding. And a lot of advisors and people within the wealth management industry, and again, love you all. Um, However, can you speak a little bit about the importance of branding? Normally they're hearing it from us on our soapbox as like as an agency, you know, a brand being the collection of perception of what people think when they hear your name and when they hear your firm's name. Why the discussion and why the inclusion of branding in this book?
Yeah, I mean, I think that advisors, when they think about growth, they focus on just getting new clients. But in order to get new clients, like you have to have your systems and your processes, you have to have your operations, and then you have to have your story, you have to have your brand. You know, what are people going to say about you? And so, as you're having meetings with clients or you're out in your community and you're creating these impactful moments, that other clients are going to talk to people about, you have to have a brand, a message, a something people can rally behind to better understand you and who you are. You know, our industry has become so commoditized. We all say the same thing: holistic financial planning, investment advice, diversified. You know, we're saying the same things, and that's great and fine, but if you truly want to stand out, you have to start to create a brand that people can get behind and understand. Because when you are different, you know, then everybody's like, well, you're not the same. And how do I know what you do? And all of these things. So it stops and makes people think. And then if there's a brand that people can talk about, that is when you will start to see the momentum to build. So, marketing and branding to us are kind of the same thing because it's everything. Like, as you know, it's how do I feel when I look at your website? What are the conversations you're having with me? What are the pieces that I'm getting from you? Like, it is, it emulates in every single thing that you do, but it is everything when it comes to how it makes people feel about you. And
Mm,
feelings is what people remember, as you know.
that's right. So I think it's really interesting. I'm putting again within the chat the Integrated Partners website because you know one of the great exercises that you can do to see if your brand is on brand, which Integrated Partners is, you'll notice that the language, back to what you're saying, like what is your perception about this particular company? And it's even before you walk through the door. If much of the advisory business is through referrals. But what is that COI? What is that estate attorney? What is that one of your best clients, your highest refer clients? Like, what are the things that they're saying to raise that keeps on coming up as like, you know, the cream that rises to the top? And I think that, you know, even with integrated, this is now the second in a series of books, and I'm sure not the last that there will be a continuation of thought leadership, frameworks, execution, precision, alignment, quality, process. These are the things now that, in addition to knowing the Integrated Partners brand, what these books reinforce.
It's true. Thank you. Yeah. I mean, we always say our name is a description of what we do. We integrate partners for the betterment of our clients' financial lives. And so when you have a brand that resonates with who you are, it's so easy to have that conversation. And then it's so easy for other people to tell that story. But in order to do that, to your point, you have to have all of these underlying things. But people are saying that books are the new business cards. So for sure, more books will be coming. But I think it's a great way to get your story out there.
Great. Um, Chapter 12, what are friends for? Be the hub and find specialists to help. A brand is not only an extension of who you are, but your partners. And partnership is something that's really, really talked about in the book. I led the opening. Rob Sandrew, who's your chief growth officer, is also mentioned in the book. He has the 10 questions to ask a partner. Now, integrated, you have you're clearly different from some of the other firms in like the way that you bundle and the way that you work with CPAs. Can you talk a little bit about that for the ladies and gentlemen who are, again, love you guys. Thank you so much for being live and as well as listening on the replay.
Yeah, I mean, we have a belief like if you want to go somewhere fast, you go by yourself. If you want to go far, you go together. And so as you look at our industry, everybody wants to work with high net worth clients, business owners, and high net worth individuals. And so the people that have access to those types of clients are CPAs. And CPAs are still year over year a client's most trusted advisor.
Mm.
And when we look at our clients' financial lives, to this day, a lot of them still lack coordination. And in order to ensure that our clients are living the lives and their goals and objectives are truly met, we have to integrate those partners so everybody understands the objectives we're trying to achieve and that each component of their plan is in alignment with each other. And so when we started the firm back in 1996, Paul really saw the industry starting to shift. This is when planning just came into the mix and people were charging planning fees. And he said, by bringing in experts and focusing on a client's plan, we can deliver significant value. So we've kind of just carried that thought process, 25 years later. And by
Unbelievable.
partnering with
Mm.
CPA firms, estate planning attorneys, the core people in your clients' lives, you are able to create more impactful moments and deliver what they are looking to achieve. And so we've built most of our business around that methodology and mentality to help our advisors move up that complexity curve and work with clients that keep their business fun and interesting and dynamic and also solve problems that CPAs, firms, clients are facing.
Yeah, what do you think? That's a great word right now, and I think a great segue. What is impeding advisors? What do you see? Again, you've integrated partners. You've welcomed a lot of advisors through the year since your humble origin stories. You're now at $17 billion of assets under advisement. What do you see when advisors are joining? What's the biggest obstacle to growth right now? What are advisors struggling with, the ones especially that are joining integrated?
Time. Like anybody, it's time
Hmm.
and knowing, the right things to do to create time. I think, again, so many advisors and their teams are caught up in the whirlwind of their days. So they can't take a step back and say, let me look at what's happening and how can we streamline and make this more efficient to create the time to grow. Because, we believe that with CPAs and advisors, one plus one equals three, but it takes time. Like anything good in life, it takes a lot of investment of your time to build that relationship. So, in order to do that, you have to create time and you need systems and processes and really good technology and a good team to do that. And so, a lot of the advisors, when they join integrated, it's part of what we do is we help them analyze how they're running their businesses today, their teams, their responsibilities, and saying, how do we right size this business? How do we
Mm,
know and understand your goals and objectives and then help you get there? So, advisor, you are focused on doing the highest revenue generating activities while your team is focused on doing everything else. And for a lot of advisors, that's hard because they were, they built their business, so they did everything. And so feeling disconnected from the operations, the marketing, the whatever the case may be, it's an emotional challenge as well. So we help them work through all of those things so we can create the time for them to go out and build these partnerships. And then when you have a strong foundation, you can leapfrog your business to the next level.
that's great advice. And thank you very much, Jeff, for that comment in the chat. And what Jeff says is this too. Use the right tools for the right job, as his uncle Mike says, applies to anyone from construction workers to corporate CEOs. I don't want to leave this topic. I want to go a little bit deeper on this. And this also too applies to both your relationship with Paul. You talk a lot about coaching, right? Coaching as a mechanism for growth. We talked about, advisors being starved for time, but yet part of that has been, and again, we love you all, but part of that has been by their own design, either a lack of willingness to trust another person, maybe not having the right people in the right seats on the bus, because if you did, then you would make delegation and moving a couple of your responsibilities like really easy if you did have that person. What do you think, how has coaching been such an important part of the framework of growth, at integrated? How's that manifested? Like, I'm an advisor, again, let's kind of use that starve for time. I come in here, there's great frameworks. What kind of coaching, what do you mean by coaching?
I mean, as you know, coaching means something different to each specific scenario. And I think that's something we've done so well at Integrated. And that's what Paul did so well for me. He saw something in me and saw the challenges that I put on myself in order to get to where I wanted to be and helped coach me in that specific area. But we always say, like, you need a coach to help get you where you want to go. And that person has to have already been there. So for
Mm,
us at Integrated, advisors come in and they say, I want to run a successful practice and work with a CPA partner. And we're like, great, we're going to coach you because 200, we've done this 200 times. And so that does remove the initial like credibility component of coaching. I think it's when you haven't done and experienced the challenges that the advisors are facing, they're like, are you the right coach for me? And, for me, I run a financial planning firm. We face the same challenges that our advisors face, it's just at a different scale. So here's what I'm doing with our team that you can then implement in your business to make your business more effective. And it's the same thing. Paul's an advisor. He has clients. He can lend those stories and he builds that instant credibility. But for us, it's a little bit easier. The barriers get removed because I want to be successful here. Great. We've got people that have already gotten there. So we can
hmm,
remove that initial piece. And then again, it's time. They're like, well, I don't have this much time. Great. Let's help you find it. So a lot of times it's, me on the operational side coaching and then bringing in Paul or another key member of our team to help them start to think bigger and bolder and having these different interactions with clients and CPA partners. Because you can't overwhelm people when you're trying to coach them. So you got to also go in these, Matt calls them snackable bites, but you kind of got to work in these little bites that will then affect real change. And people will look back and say, oh my gosh, I can't believe how much we've accomplished. Um, but if you want to get somewhere, you got to find a coach who's already gone there to help
yeah,
you along that
I,
path.
I love that. I'm wearing my US Open. I was just at the tournament a couple weeks ago, less than 2 weeks ago, actually, in Pinehurst. So as you're speaking about coaches, I think about golf. And I think about that they've got a short game coach and they've got a swing coach and they've got a sports psychologist. as we're talking about coaching, is that something that is just like naturally germinates like, hey, I feel like I'm a little down or I'm confused and I need a meeting with my coach? Or is that formalized? What has been your process through being the coach as well as being coached yourself? Because again, a lot of us are trying to do better. And, I think like coaching and mentoring, they probably go hand in hand. What would be your recommendation, Andre? Is that something that we formalize or that we let kind of just manifest naturally?
It's got to be formalized, in my opinion, because if it's not in the schedule on the calendar, you will find a reason to not do it, right?
Hmm.
Because many advisors confuse the urgent with the important. And so the important things is coaching and growing your business, but urgent are activities that your clients think are urgent that maybe are not urgent to you, but are urgent to them. And so therefore you get pulled back into that and you feel like I have to go solve this problem before I can help myself. And so you have to schedule the time to be there and be present and always go to, is this urgent or important, and focus on those important tasks. So I think it has to be formalized, because the other thing about coaching is like there is a lot of work that is done after the coaching session. And so you need
Mm.
somebody to hold you accountable to the implementation, the changes, the, hey, how did it go when you tested out that role play conversation with that client? How did that meeting go? Let's talk about it. Did you get the results you were looking for? And so you need it to be formalized. Now, I think coaches evolve over time. Right now you might need a coach because you want to get better at estate planning. And then you want to get better at business owner planning, or I want to get better operationally. Coaches change and evolve over the course of your career, but you've got to have it formalized and structured.
Great. That's fantastic advice. I hope even that you're listening on replay that you stop and then you rewind and then you go back again just to hear that. That's great. So that, some really good insight there that we've got to make it a formalized process. I fantastic. Really excited and so thankful for everybody's time. I do, along the questions of coaching, we've got another poll, our last poll. We're going to launch this question because Linda Ronstadt, unbeknownst to me, actually was a great coach and a great mentor. When I was growing up and she was the hottest thing, um, I didn't realize that she had a hand, and it's mentioned in the book. Thank you, Matt Agerman, for your music trivia here. That she played a key role, and everybody got this right. Linda Ronstadt played a key role in creating the Eagles, one of the most, and I had to get an Eagles mention in here from Philly, um, and one of the most prolific and profitable bands in the 1970s. So I'll show you guys how cool was that? That she brought Don Henley and Glenn Fry together. I mean, that's fantastic. So, through coaching, through mentoring within our organizations, we could actually spawn and make incredible things happen within our organizations, right?
Absolutely. And I think that was one of the coolest things for me when I read the book, is to say, look at all these people behind the scenes that supported these stars who helped to make them who they are. Like you only think about the Eagles, you don't think the story behind the Eagles, but there wouldn't have been the Eagles, right? And so it was a really impactful moment for me, once Matt put the whole book together, to say like, wow, it really is about, I always say teamwork makes the dream work, but like teamwork does make the dream work in every scenario that you look at.
So, question that we love to ask our authors: what was your favorite chapter and why? There are, let's see, I'll go back again. And I so wanted to have music too. I have to ask you, didn't get a chance to ask you, what's your favorite band?
My favorite band is Mumford and Sons, actually. Matt didn't make a story about them in the
Awesome.
book, but that is my favorite
Mm.
band.
Okay, that's in the next book, right, Andre?
That's it. There you go.
Okay, we've got 19 chapters. What was your favorite and why?
My favorite chapter, and this is going to be very cliche to say, given the current conversation about Taylor Swift. But my favorite chapter is the Taylor Swift Shake It Off chapter. Because I do truly believe, like you heard me say, the whirlwind of people say the urgent versus the important. And it's so much of what I coach our team and our advisors about. Like you have to be relentlessly focused towards your goals and you've got to shake off discouragement and the your teams and the life and all of these things. And people get down about this is taking longer than I expected. And you just got to shake it off. You got to bring a little zazzle to the table and keep lifting people up and empowering them to keep going forward. Because the journey can be hard at times. And as advisors
Mm,
know, the market cycles and things outside of our control really affect our businesses and it brings people down. And so you've got to be relentlessly focused on your goals and you got to stay positive. And when you put that song on, I mean, like, who doesn't feel good? So it's my favorite chapter because it's the chapter that reminds you, like, why am I doing this? And
mm.
that in it and together, you can always attain your goals. So that's my favorite one.
Awesome. That, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, is chapter 11. I wanted to give you your music lesson too that was associated with the Taylor Swift chapter. That's on page 142. Again, metaphorically, music is just so brilliantly weaved throughout. Complete your playlist. List the things, gathering data, making client service calls, reviewing trades that you do every day while working in your business. Be specific as possible to find who, keyword there, who, because the mission of this exercise, which you lay out, Andree, delegate, delegate, delegate. And so you're actually making a playlist. I love that metaphor, making the
Mhm.
playlist of who should be doing what. That's brilliant.
Well, it's because so many people say, "Oh, I did so much today." And I'm like, "Okay, what did you accomplish today?" Right?
Hmm.
And I don't want to diminish any of those tasks because they are important. But when advisors are like, "I responded to my emails and I made some trades." It's like, "So you did busy work, but were you productive? Were you doing the tasks that are going to help you achieve your goals?" And so getting them to shift their mindsets of like, "I just checked the box." Versus I did something impactful for my business today. Um, and that's the purpose of the playlist to say, like, wow, I'm actually spending my time doing things that should are better suited to somebody else on the team.
Totally. I can relate here from agency in the agency model. It is the same way. You have certain people doing certain tasks, and again, that fits directly and maps to their core competencies and the things that make them come alive and be vibrant.
Yeah.
Because we all know that when we're in a state of flow and when we are doing the very thing that we were like meant and gifted to do, how just time stands still. You start getting things off off your plate and really making some great headway into that crazy week of yours. Okay, so our one of our last questions here. We have a lot of book authors. I believe I've got a whole list of books here. Fundamentally, each book author that we've had the opportunity and the honor to interview about the book, yourself included, Andree, people are looking to create a change, through that book. And so what is the change of behavior? Your book covers a lot. What is the main thing, the change of behavior that as a result of the book that you're hoping that advisors will make?
It is to live in your unique ability. So it's something that you just said, it's something we talk about all the time. But if you live in your unique ability, which advisors, it is to be the star of their practice, it's to deliver value to their clients, everything that they love to do. So when you are relentlessly focused on what makes you uniquely you, you're happier, you're more effective, you're living a better life. And so that is what we want for our team, our advisors, is to build the business of their dreams and do it in a way that brings them worth Like we always say, let's live our legacies and not just leave them. And in order to do that, you have to love what you're doing. I mean, we're like, let's have everybody skip to work every day. And that's obviously not a reality. But when you are feeling energized and excited about what you're doing awesome work. And so we wrote this because we wanted to remind advisors that it is there for you to build a wonderful business in the way that you want to. You just got to have some people behind you to help you get there.
I love it. I love it. Let's get big hearts. We'll take some big hearts in the feed for you, Andre. We're going to end with that. That is brilliantly stated and articulated. Again, you all have Andre's link. Please connect with her on LinkedIn because she's doing amazing things, and you'll find her on the you'll find her in lots of unique places. She's being interviewed about the book, and I know that you'll be on stages and in the fall that we'll see you there. So I thank you. We so appreciate the work that you're doing, Paul, Matt, everyone, Rob, everyone at Integrated, to help advisors to find that unique spirit itself. And thank you with a mother of twin 16-month-old daughters. I so appreciate that you've made time to put your philosophies and to put your own unique stamp on center stage. So ladies and gentlemen, get the book, connect with Andre, and we're so appreciative of your time.
Thank you so much for having me and for promoting our book. We so appreciate it. And way to do a great job covering for the fire. So thank you.
That was fun. This will go down. That's never, I think this is either number 13 or number 14. And I told them that I was ready to be a DJ afterwards. I was like, okay, if she's not here, then we're going to just play songs
We
for
don't know
each
which would have been better.
other. Okay. Yeah, you
Thank
were
you.
fantastic. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great rest of your day. Have a fantastic 4th too. This is right before 4th of July. If there's anything that we can ever do for you, please, you have all our contacts. Have a great rest of your day and look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you again, Andre.
Thank you.